go. Unstoppable kick-ass confidence. Are you ready?
Welcome to the Raw and Unscripted Show with Christopher Rausch, where we help you overcome your self-created crap without the self-help fluffy bullshit. Now please welcome our host, Christopher Rausch.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen of the kick-ass Unstoppable No Excuses Nation? It is I, Christopher Rausch, your host of the Raw and Unscripted Podcast in over 100 countries, coming to you live here every Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you guys for joining us on the video cast. We have a blast entertaining your questions and your comments as part of the conversation that we're having. And of course, there's a ton of you that are listening on the audio podcast, and we thank you so much. The reach that we're having on this show is phenomenal, and I am so grateful to each and every one of you in all of those 100+ countries who are listening to the show right now. I can't thank you enough. We've been doing this now for 7 years, and it is my intention every single week to bring you the absolute most value for you to level up in your life. This life is very short. I'm 57 years old, and I'm often reminded of how fast it is going by. Watching my 9-year-old son, soon to be 10, towards the end of this year, how fast it really goes by and how much we take for granted. And it is my intention, it is my goal, it's my passion to help you level up for a couple of reasons. Number one, so that you can be happy and you can have a legacy that you're proud of when your time comes up. Number two, that when you're happy and you feel empowered, that you do something to help make somebody else who might not feel so empowered a little bit better. Because my legacy and my goal and what I set the example for my son is to make this world a better place for who I am and what I do. And I think about that every single day. When I wake up in the morning, I say what I'm grateful for. And then I say my intentions. And one of my intentions every single day is to use my words and my actions to make this world a better place for who I am and what I do. And I get to do that every single Tuesday night. We've been doing it now for 7 years, and I enjoy the hell out of it. And we got to do it last week. And last week we had a guest on. We've been doing more guests here in 2026, a little mixture of guests and solo shows. Tonight's a solo show. We're going to be talking about sabotage, self-sabotage, which is something we all experience. I was just reviewing that with my coaching clients yesterday, my group coaching clients, and thinking about some of the questions that I gave them that I'm going to be giving you tonight. Yeah, we all do it. We all do it. So we're going to get into that in a second. But last week we had Sarah Ann Arts on the show, a death shaman. I think that might be the first time in 7 years that we had a death shaman on the show. She was a beautiful soul, beautiful person, ex-FBI agent. I'm going to have her back on the show just to talk about that. But we were really talking about life, and we were talking about really not to have any regrets when we pass away, how to live authentically in our space, own who we are, and not have that adversarial, angry resentment, bitterness towards people who perhaps have crossed our path and perhaps maybe did us wrong, did us dirty. You know what I mean? It was a crazy conversation. It was beautiful. And I encourage you to go back to listen to that. And here's the thing that I subscribe and prescribe for you guys if you're new to the show. Every single week you show up here every 7 days and you take 3 things, 3 action items from this particular podcast, and then you apply them in your life. And when you apply them in your life, guess what? Over a period of time, usually a short period of time from what I'm hearing from you guys, 3 to 6 months seems to be the average of where people are hitting a turning point in their life. Their confidence is building, their belief in what it is possible for them to do is growing. And what happens is that creates enthusiasm. Because so oftentimes, and we're going to talk about this tonight, we shoot ourselves in the foot. We shoot ourselves in the foot. We have all these ideas of how it should be and how it could be. And I was just talking with a possible coaching client last night or the other day. And I sat there and I thought, there was all these different excuses. He just said he didn't know where to start. And I said, just fucking start. Like when I look back on my life and I think about all the different things that I've done, and I still do to this day, most of the time I just have to start somewhere and then I figure it out. If I'm going to go out there and organize the garage, I just start with one part of the garage. Like, oh, it's overwhelming. It's everything. If you start telling yourself the story in your head, you'll never do it. And you'll go to something that's safe and certain and predictable. And then ultimately you'll look back and go, geez, where did 2025 go? Oh my God, it's been 6 years since COVID. I told myself once COVID was over, I was going to do this and I was going to do this and I was going to do that. And I know a lot of people have, but I know a lot of people haven't. And that's pretty scary. And that's pretty sad because again, you don't live forever. You don't. There's no guarantee. So live it today and intentionally. So I encourage you to go back and listen to that. So let's get into tonight's broadcast. Tonight we're going to be talking about self-sabotage. And I think about it this way. So I'm just going to ask you something. How many times have you said you were going to change something in your life, only to find yourself right back in the same place weeks or months later? More than you'd probably like to admit, right? Here's the truth that most people don't want to hear. You're not stuck. You're not unlucky. You're not lacking potential. You're self-sabotaging. Now, before you get defensive, this isn't about beating yourself up. This is about waking up, like really waking up right here, right now, saying, I'm not going to fucking be that person anymore. You have to decide who you're going to be because who you've been and what you've been doing is not working. Am I right? Yes, Chris, you're right. Because self-sabotage isn't weakness. It's protection that is now outdated. It's protection. So today we're going to break this all the way down, why you do it, where it started, and how it's showing up in your life right now. And most importantly, what you can do to stop it starting today. And this might sting a little bit, but if you lean into it, it just might change everything about your life. And I've done this show again for 7 years, and I went back and I searched through my show notes, which I take notes about every single show. And I've never really talked about this particular aspect as its own subject matter. There have been plenty of shows where I've talked about self-sabotaging as a component of something else. But here we're going to be talking about tonight, and I wrote this out specifically, why self-sabotage is actually a learned survival pattern. Number 2, how childhood conditioning shapes our adult behavior. Number 3, the 10 plus most common forms of self-sabotage. We're going to dig deep into that. I'm sure you're going to identify with many of them, as I did as I was creating this list and thinking back about it and teaching my coaching clients about this. Let's see. Number 4, how to catch yourself in the moment, right? Oh, I'm doing it again. I call it shooting yourself in the dick, right? I'm shooting myself in the dick again. God damn it. Okay. A simple 4-step process to break the pattern immediately. And then finally, how to rebuild your identity and self-trust. Because when you think about it, that's what happens is we stop trusting ourselves. We stop taking those risks because we don't want to disappoint ourselves. We've let ourselves down so many times that it's better to not promise ourselves that we're going to do something, that to think we're going to do it one day, someday I'm going to start a business. Someday I'm going to make a garden. One day I'm going to do this. And then we don't do it because we tell ourselves all these excuses. We tell ourselves these limitations. Or worse, we allow other people external to us influence our behavior and our actions, and we stay small. So I'm a person that has taken a lot of risks in his life. And you know what? I'm really proud of myself. And I want you to ask this. Are you proud of yourself right now? Are you proud of what it is that you're doing? Have you accomplished the things you said you were going to do? So let's talk about this. But before I get into this, I just want to welcome all the beautiful people here in the comments tonight. We got Robert in the house saying, hi, Christopher. We got Caroline Boyd. She was recently on. Jesus Christ, you got to go back and check out that conversation. Ooh, Caroline Boyd. She says, hello from the horses capital of the world, Kentucky. I've never been to Kentucky, but I would love to go there. So Caroline, I'm gonna issue a challenge. So since you were on the show, I'm gonna issue a challenge. Find somebody there that will hire me as a speaker, and I'll come out there and we'll have lunch, and I'll buy lunch. So yes, Robert always says hi to everybody. So what's up? We got the food plane here. DS, I'm going to be on their show pretty soon here. It says, hello, Christopher. DS here. This is one of my favorite topics. Good to see you. Good to see you too. Thank you. I mean, seeing your topics here. Let's see who else we got. People saying hi. Already asking me a question. Do you think self-sabotage usually comes from fear of failure or fear of success? We're going to talk about that. DS, we're going to talk about that. Yes, that's a great question. And yes, it does. It does. I have coached hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people in my life. And a lot of times people say they want the success. Oh, I do. And then we start talking about it and I start asking them questions and you find out there's a fear of success. There's a fear of being too big. I coached this one person one time and they were very, very, we'll just say stubborn. And I narrowed it down because we were trying to figure out what is the block here? What is the block here? And they're like, no, I'm doing this and I'm doing this and I'm doing everything you say. And then I sat there and I said, what's your fear about becoming successful? Sometimes I have to get visceral. Sometimes I have to like poke the bear a little bit and get them to not go from their script and who they're trying to be. And so I had to poke this person. I think it was last year. And I was like, okay, I'm either going to really piss them off and they're going to quit, or I'm going to uncover something. And 99.9999%, I think it's 100% really. Nobody's ever left. And sometimes you have to dig underneath that layer. And they finally blurted out, I don't want to be successful because I know everybody's going to fucking ask me for shit. I think that's what they said. So you guys know here, I use colorful language, but yeah, something like that. We were on a Zoom call and they said, yeah, people are going to ask me for shit. I said, so if you don't have the money, if you don't have the success, if you don't have the resources, people can't come. So who's going to come to you? Oh, my family and these people, and I just don't want to deal with it. I'm like, there it is. There's our stuck point. And they were sat there and they stopped and you could see how they kind of went out of character. I think it was relatively new in the coaching relationship. And how they went out of character and they just sat there and went, fuck, I never saw it like that, Chris. Right? So we need people outside of ourselves. That's why coaching exists. That's why therapy exists. That's why friends exist. Hopefully you got a friend that sits there and looks at things from a different perspective and says, hey, Chris, have you looked at it this way? I'm seeing this in you. You need people outside of you that are willing to tell you the truth, that are willing to call you on your shit, to have that open and have that openness to sit there and say, you know what, you might be right. I was my coach, the great Sally Anderson, in 2019. She said you were operating from scarcity. I'm like, no, I'm not. That's ridiculous. Why? I'm abundant. I have a nice house. I gave all this justification and validation of how I was abundant. But ultimately, when she asked me a couple other questions, we dug deeper, and it was from a scarcity. It was from a fear of losing it all. So I was abundant, but there was a scarcity mindset that was going on underneath it. And so we need those people. DS, the food plane, says here, these are the conversations that truly matter. Yes. Thank you. Share it on Facebook. Thank you so much. Caroline says, challenge accepted. I would love to come to Kentucky. I keep telling, I haven't done that in a while. Quite honestly, a side little note is I stopped pursuing public speaking and professional speaking when my son was born, because I didn't want to have the conflict of trying to grow my career at the same time being here for him. And I didn't want to do that. But I would love to come see all of you guys all around the United States. I'd love to get in my RV and fucking just go all across the United States and meet all you guys and have a blast. DS, the food plane, says, sometimes people sabotage opportunities because they don't feel worthy of them. Yes, we're going to talk about that. So let's dig into this. So I've got my notes right here. So feel free to ask questions and chime in as you guys are doing. I appreciate it. And please share it out if you find or getting value out of this. So yeah, most people think that self-sabotage is a weakness, but it's not true. It's really, like I said before, it's a protection that is now outdated. So some point in your life, these behaviors kept you safe emotionally, mentally, and socially. The problem is you're still running those patterns. You're still running those scripts. And now to have a different life, that requires a different version of you. So I want you to really think about this and keep this in your heart of hearts. I want you to write it on a sticky note and keep it in front of you. Put it on your monitor. We all have computer monitors. I have 5 sticky notes. Sometimes I take them off and give them and show them to you, but then they don't stick very well when I put it back. But you have to be a different version of yourself. So let's think about this. Why we self-sabotage. It isn't just a fear of failure. It's deeper. It's fear of success. Right? We have a new level, new expectations, which feels unsafe. And if you go back and you think about your childhood, there was a fear of success, perhaps, fear of disappointing your parents, fear of disappointing your teacher. You went for something and you didn't get it, and your brother or sister started ribbing you. So you felt it was unsafe to go for stuff. Identity ceiling. People like me don't have that. So that limiting belief, that negative self-talk, we come from a poor family. We didn't have much. All those different little scripts that you're running in your brain, we're like computers. So what you put in, the old phrase, garbage in, garbage out. And when I thought about this identity ceiling, it reminded me of a great book that I have not recommended enough lately. I used to recommend it ad nauseum, but it's Jesus Christ, I just fucking drew a blank on it. The Big Leap. 3 words, Big Leap. The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. Oh my God. And he talks about that we have this ceiling. What does he call it? I need to go back and read it. I used to read it every year. But basically the ceiling that we put upon ourselves that limits us how high we can go. We also have emotional addiction, which is addiction to chaos, stress, and struggles because that feels familiar. Oh yeah, I'm always stressed. I'm always overwhelmed. I ask people all the time, what would it be like if you weren't like that? How about we change our, what do they call it? Modus operandi, your method of operations. Let's not be addicted to that. Let's not do those things. My wife and I were just talking last night and she goes, remember how you used to never relax and used to go? And I said, yes. And it served me. It served me very well for a period of time until I burned out. I burned out twice. I burned my adrenals out. I felt one morning I woke up and I felt like somebody pushed me off a 2-story building and I just landed flat. Every bone in my body hurt. Every muscle hurt. I thought I was coming down with something. And I burned out my adrenals because I kept going and going and going and going. It was badge of honor. Look how fucking unstoppable I am. And I have no excuses and I'm crushing it here and I'm crushing it here and I'm crushing it there. I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And I'm helping these people, all these bragging rights, but I burned myself out. So emotional addiction. We have a loyalty to past identity or family patterns. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Outgrowing them feels a little bit like betrayal. And if you look at people who are successful and you look at them, who they come from, like troubled families or whatnot, they're usually the anomaly. And why are they the anomaly? Because they choose that. They chose that. They said, you know what? And I'm a living example. My mother, I am polar opposite from my mom, except for the fact of my hard work ethic. But my mother was not a people person. I'm very much a people person. So, when you think about that, we have to like become that new version of ourselves. I'm going to say that over and over again. Also, there's a need for control. Like if I ruin it, I won't be surprised by the pain. So here's a question for you guys. I want you to write this down. Where in your life are you choosing familiar pain over unfamiliar growth? Again, where are you choosing familiar pain over unfamiliar growth? So let's look at this, the childhood conditioning. Like I talk about this all the time. We become the people that we become between generally the age of 5 and 7. So from 0 to 5 to 7, my son's 9 now, and I think he's pretty much the person he's going to be. He's learning, obviously we still continue to grow, but the childhood conditioning, Jesus, the learned beliefs, the stories that we accepted as truth. Like I found myself one time, this is a crazy story, a crazy example, but I found myself in the auto parts store only buying Castrol GTX. I never bought Valvoline, never bought Pennzoil. And I thought, why have I never bought these other famous brands? And it's because my mother said Castrol GTX was the best motor oil. You know what I did that time? I bought Valvoline, or I bought Pennzoil, I think it was, the yellow one. Just to break that pattern. Oil is oil. It's all okay. But you think about all those acceptance, those agreements that you have put into your brain, consciously, subconsciously. And these weren't facts. They were interpretations that your younger self made. And this is the thing that pisses me off. And I'm trying to fight for this in schools, at least at my local school. They're doing more emotional intelligence, stuff like that. But we learn algebra and we learn all this other stuff, but we never learn to like go back and evaluate our interpretations of our childhood and the things we experienced. We either tend to come out of it feeling pretty good about ourselves or not feeling so good about ourselves and comparing ourselves to everybody else. And that scarcity mindset and that lack mindset continues on as a form of self-sabotage in many different ways. And here's some of the things that I have heard people say over and over again. I'm not enough. I'm not enough. I'm not enough to be loved. I'm not enough to be successful. I'm not enough to be a friend, all these different things. And that comes from inconsistent love and attention. Or the thought, I have to earn love, where you're only praised for your performance. And you think about it. You got an A. Oh, Johnny, you're so awesome. Great job. Great job. Let's go out to dinner. You're great. You got to see what the fuck's wrong with you, right? Never good enough. Geez, your sister does it all the time. The kid down the street does it. And then you're comparing. Then you're like, okay, well, if I was only like, Jacob, or if I was only like Cindy, then I would be good enough. And then I would have things in my life. And then you go throughout, oh, he's got it. He's got it. He's got it. I was just remembering the other day, the video Jump. If you go Google it on or YouTube it, Steve Harvey Jump, it's like 1 minute and 55 seconds. And in there, he talks like that. We're always comparing ourselves to other people that might be doing this and doing that. And you're like, man, they're doing all these things and I'm not doing it. Well, the thing is, they jumped. They got the loan. They took the chance. They quit their job. They started the business. They left their marriage that seemed successful on the surface, but they weren't truly happy. And you jump. You have to jump. And guess what? Your parachute doesn't open right away and your back gets scraped up and it's scary and you get banged up, but eventually your parachute opens. But the thing of the video that talks about, if you never jump, listen to me. If you never jump, your parachute will never open. And I want to ask you this, and I want you to think about this again. There's hitting points there that I want you to write down and really consider when it comes to your time to die, which could be tomorrow, it could be 2 hours from now, it could be 20 years from now, whatever it might be for you. Are you going to look back and go, fuck, I played it safe? Man, all those things I didn't do. I'm kind of cool about that. I think that's pretty neat. All that time I wasted and all that time I bitched, pissed, and moaned and worried about what everybody else is going to think. I'm pretty cool with that. Or are you going to sit there and think, fucking hell, man, if I just had one more year, I would go back and I would smell all the roses and I would tell the people what I really thought. And I would give myself a chance to go through for these things. Because listen, at the end of the day, and somebody just said this yesterday, and it's so true. And I used to be caught up about this, like leaving a legacy and being so popular and impacting millions and millions of people, which still is great. But at the end of the day, in 100 years, who's going to remember me? Like, do you know your great grandfather's name? This was an example that I heard yesterday. Do you know your great grandfather's name? I don't know what my great grandfather's name is. I know what my grandfather's name is, but think about it. We're who fucking cares? Who cares what the neighbors think? Who cares what your sister think? Who really, if you don't have supportive people in your life, you need new people. So the problem is kids don't question their beliefs. They absorb them and that becomes who they are, who we are. Like, Lord knows, I thought I was told to shut up and I had all sorts of fucked up things. So I went to therapy, got coaching, read hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, and if not thousands of books and masterminds, all sorts of things. I've constantly been pushing to understand myself better, which has made me a coach, which, uncovered this gift that I have. So when you think about it again, the question you can ask yourself is, what did you decide about yourself before you were even 10 years old? Before you were even 10 years old, what did you decide about yourself? And most of the time when I'm coaching somebody about something where they formed a belief about themselves that isn't in their favor, I'm like, what happened before you were 10 years old? Oh man, I fucking tried out for the cheerleading squad. Oh, I went out for football. Oh, I did this. What did you make that mean about you? What did you make that situation mean about you? I had a situation at school where I made an ass out of myself. I didn't know what I was talking about. And guess what? I never spoke up really ever again because I was trying to fit in and I was trying to be intelligent and I was trying to say the right stuff and I didn't. And I was laughed at horrendously. Oh my God. Guess what? I fucking, like, I'm talkative now and I can talk in front of thousands of people, no problem. It took me a long time to have that faith and that belief in myself that somebody would actually listen to me and not be judging me. For me, when I went from a suit and tie speaker looking like everybody else to how I look right now with a bandana, and it's been various ebbs and flows, but I pretty much look like a rock and roller, a biker, just comfortable. I wear the same shit that I did when I was 10 years old. Levi's, well, I don't really wear pants anymore, but I wear shorts. Levi's, rock shirts or t-shirts, and hats. Even when I had long hair, I wore a hat on backwards. So I combined the hat and the bandana because I don't like to sweat. Here I am. I'm comfortable as hell. And people dig it. People say you look like a rock star. I'm very distinguishable. Like, oh, I remember you. I had somebody say that the other day. Oh, I met somebody this is funny. On Saturday, I went to a car show. I met a lady at a dog park the weekend before, and she was in the car show. She was driving on the car route, and she goes, I met you last week. You're Scooby's dad. I was like, holy shit, because I just look the way I look. Okay, so let's break this down a little bit more. When in our childhood, we modeled behavior. What we saw is what we learned. So if you had parents who were avoidant, right? They didn't argue, they didn't talk about their emotions and their feelings, then generally you probably avoid conflict. You didn't learn constructive ways to be able to do that. If you saw quitters, right? Oh, it's too hard, it's too hard, it's too hard. Guess what? You quit when it gets hard. People pleasers, right? You seek approval. Overworkers, that was me. You tie your worth to productivity. Many times I was the first person in the office in my corporate career and I was the last person to leave. Badge of honor. Guess what happens when you stop doing that? You stop being able to perform at that level, and then people think, oh, you're fucking not doing your job. Yeah, I set high expectations, and then one day I was like, this ain't fucking worth it. And so I stopped doing it. Guess what? All sorts of judgments and shit came down on me, and I felt even worse about myself. If we saw people in our life, our parents who emotionally shut down, then we suppress our feelings. Oh, it's not safe for me to communicate my feelings, right? I'm told I'm being selfish. How many times when you were a kid, stop being selfish? Like when we're babies, we're allowed to do everything. We're allowed to throw up on people. My wife and I were just talking about how much my son threw up on her and me in the first 6 months. He was very colicky and fucking projectile vomit. We could throw up on people. We could shit on people. We could scream in the middle of the night. We could demand food. And then what happened as babies? I know my childhood had been fucked up. As babies, shut up. Stop crying. What are you crying about? Oh, okay. What am I crying about? All right. Better not fucking cry. Can you see? Can you feel me? Put it in the comments. If this is resonating, if you're feeling like, ooh, I feel a little triggered. Yep, that was me. Yep, that was me. And that's okay. That's okay. This is your wake up call. This is our wake up call. But as I think about some of these things, I'm like, man, I've overcome a lot. And I'm really proud of myself. And sometimes it's not always easy. There's still a lot of times where I will suppress my emotions and my feelings because I don't want to hurt other people's feelings, or I'm like, oh, it's not that big of a deal, or why? And I don't want to bother them with that. I mean, I still do it. I'm raising both hands for you guys listening on the podcast. I'm raising both hands. I am not perfect. I've been to marriage counseling. I've been to therapy. So the question from this is, whose behavior am I unconsciously repeating? Whose behavior am I unconsciously repeating? So when we think about our emotional environment, what do we grow up in? We grew up in chaos, where calm feels boring and we create drama. I mean, how many people do you know out there create drama? Little fucking drama seekers, huh? Energy vampires. Criticism. You attack yourself first. Neglect. You don't prioritize yourself. Inconsistency. You have trust issues. We talked about this a minute ago. We have high expectations. Our worth is tied to our results. Raising my hand, walking on eggshells. You're hyper aware of others. I know people like myself that grew up, you could tell what mood or what shape, if the person was drunk or whatever, by the way they put the keys in the door, the way they opened the door, the way they pulled the car into the driveway. If they were yelling and screaming before they even got in the door, we became very hyper aware. Oh shit, I better be on my best behavior. Dad's in a bad mood. Right? And nobody came back and said, hey, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. They did the best they could with what they had. I was just helping a client the other day with negative reinforcement. Like, they told you all that shit because they loved you. Do you know that? Yeah, but they should have known better. Blah, blah, blah. They didn't. How did they grow up? What did they grow up with? What commercials were going on? They didn't have all the access to psychology. People didn't talk about their mental health back then, right? Oh, nobody's going to love you if you're fat. How many times have I heard that? Not me personally, but for my coaching clients. So what you do is you recreate what's familiar, even if it hurts. So ask yourself this: where am I recreating my childhood environment today? So let's look at the next one. Identity formation. Who we had to become to survive. We had to be the strong one. Don't ask for help. The peacemaker avoids conflict. The overachiever chases validation. You're going to start seeing these all tie together. The invisible one, the one who plays small. The caretaker who puts everybody else first. Tons of you out there, I know you guys. Like, I ask people all the time, like, what would it be like if you took care of yourself the way you take care of other people? Oh my God, Chris, I would feel guilty. Okay, let's, how do we stop that? How do we stop that? Because If I ask you, who do you love the most in this world? And you tell me, I love my son. Okay. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you love your son? 10. But would you take a bullet for your son? Yes. 10. Okay. How much do you love yourself? You can't pick 7. Everybody picks 7. Generally. 4. Okay. So you love your son at 10. You're loving yourself a 4. What are you really giving your son? 4. You're giving him a 4. So, it's not selfish. It's self-love. Pour into your own bucket so you can pour into other people's buckets. But so oftentimes we pour into everybody else's bucket, hoping that we get a little bone, a little attaboy, attagirl. Hey. Oh yeah. Okay, cool. I'm worthy. I did something. Yay. Right? No, take care of yourself first. And that starts by making sure you don't have people in your life fucking drag you down and make you feel like shit. Either people make you feel good about yourself or they make you feel bad about yourself. If they don't do anything, why are they there? I keep things simple. Keep things simple. So the identity that you protected then may limit you now, boys and girls. So here's another question for you. Who did I have to become to survive? And is that still serving me? Who did I have to become to survive? And is that still serving me? So what we got going on here? Looking at the comments, because I was looking at my notes, just being honest with you guys. Food Plane says, how do you know the difference between burnout and self-sabotage? Ask yourself why you're burned out. Why are you burned out? Because I'm doing this and I'm doing this, I'm doing this. Okay. Is that working for you or against you? Is that a short-term plan or has that been your long-term strategy? Most oftentimes when you dig back, and this is what I talk to you guys about all the time, is digging to the root of the situation. So there's been times where I've been burned out. Sometimes we have to burn the candle at both ends, so to speak, but that should be a short-term strategy, a short-term situation. But if you're sitting there, okay, why am I burned out? Oh, because I'm working long hours at the office. Okay. Why am I working long hours at the office? Do I enjoy what I'm doing? Yeah. But it's pretty ridiculous. Why are you doing that? Because I'm afraid that Susie in the other cubicle is gonna get more kudos than I am. So I burn myself out. Okay. Is that realistic? Is that something you can consistently do without jeopardizing the quality of your work? So you just got to dig, DS, you just got to dig into that and sit there and say, okay, why am I burning myself out? And mostly it is self-sabotage. And if there's not an end to the means of what it is that you're doing, then you need to get honest with yourself and say, okay, how long am I willing to continue this? And what's the cost? What's the cost of me continuing to do this? Because most of the time it's, I just have to do it. No, you don't. No, you don't. Because if you wound up in the hospital fucking tomorrow, life would continue. I had a coaching client tell me that she didn't have enough time to do all these other things. Like, I just don't have time. And she kept saying that, kept saying that. I said, okay, we're going to do an exercise. You're going to tell me exactly what the fuck you do from the time your eyes open until the time your eyes go closed. What are you going to do? What do you do? I get up, have my coffee, got it. Okay, wait, okay. So do you have your coffee? Are you doing other things? No, I sit there and I look at my phone and then, okay, well, so how much time do we got there? We got, probably 20 minutes. I'm like, it's probably more like an hour, because you're probably embarrassed to tell me that it's probably an hour. So I know you're embarrassed to tell me it's an hour. So you're saying it's 20 minutes, but it's probably more like an hour. And then she got to I have to do the laundry and I have to do this. And I'm like, no, you don't. I said, how old are your kids? It was like 9, 12, and 16 or something like that. I can't remember exactly. It was somewhere around there. And then she goes, yeah, I have to do laundry. I said, well, what would happen if you didn't? She goes, nobody else is going to do it, and came up with all this stories and all this shit in her brain. And I said, okay. I said, so you get hit by a car tomorrow. You're in a fucking wheelchair. You have to go to a rehab center for 6 months. Are you telling me right now that your family will not wash their clothes? Good point. Yeah, I got those. That's why I'm good at what I do. I'm great at what I do. And I said, so what happens? Well, I guess my husband would do the laundry. I guess maybe my 16-year-old did the laundry. They're figuring the fuck out. So this story you keep telling yourself, you got to say, is that working for me or against me? So yeah, there's one thing to be burned out because like, hey man, I'm writing this book and I'm really into it. And I'm getting up at 3:00 in the morning because I only have 3 to 6 to write it, because when the house wakes up, then I'm dedicated to being a parent. That I get. Okay. So how long are we going to do that for? We're going to do it for 6 months. All right. Awesome. At the end of that, you're going to have a book, right? Sweet. I hope that answers your question. I could spend hours on that. Dia says, wow, that's deep. Yeah, I know. Robert says Castro is a sponsor of the Mighty Car Mods YouTube channel for some time now. Well, get him to be a sponsor of the Raw Unscripted Podcast. I was actually thinking, you know what? I've never done sponsors and I've never done commercials. People ask me how I make money at this. I don't. I mean, I generally get coaching clients from this because people listen to this and go, holy shit, if this guy's giving this much information here, what can he do for me privately? And if you guys don't know this, I do one-on-one coaching where we meet every single week for about 45 minutes to an hour. You have text message access to me. You have everything access to me. And we work for 6 months, generally 6-month contracts, and your life changes. And if that's too much of a commitment or too expensive, we have a group coaching program that is, get this, it's either $50 a month or $150 a month. The 150 one, you get an hour with me once a month, which is pretty fucking cool. You can, guys, if you're interested in that group coaching program, $50 a month. I do it out of the greatness of my heart so that nobody has any excuse that they can't afford something. Everybody can figure out how to get $50 a month. If it's going to change your life, they started off as an accountability group, but now I teach. I just taught about this Monday for an hour and a half. I answered everybody's questions. It's ludicrous. My coach hates me for doing that. She's like, Chris, you are minimizing your value and you're doing all these things. I'm like, no, I'm making the world a better place, because generally what people do as part of that program is they get really happy and they help people in their community, and they get passionate about philanthropy. What, I fucking can't say that word sometimes. So yeah. So if you're interested in that, there's the little commercial. But if you guys know of anybody who would sponsor the show, I've been thinking about doing that. DS asks also, have you noticed that some people create chaos because peace feels unfamiliar? Yeah. Do you see self-sabotage in that? 100%, 1000%. That's who I am. Oh, well, how would it be like if you didn't do that? Like, there's so much chaos in my life. I'm like, where does it come from? It's self-generated most of the time. Well, no, I have to do this and I have to do this. I'm like, no, you don't have to do anything. Why do you have to do it? Is there somebody sitting there going, I got a 9mm pistol, your fucking brain. I got 13, whatever bullet, how many bullets it shows. No, you don't have to do anything. You choose to do that. You have chosen that identity for yourself. So yes, they feel like they don't deserve it. They only know how to operate in that craziness. I have helped veterans who feel like they need that craziness, so much so. Yes. Food Plane says this is great stuff. Nala, what's up, Nala? She says sometimes it's procrastination. Yeah, procrastination is 100% self-sabotage. 100%. I've done shows, I think, on procrastination solely on that. Yeah. It's no, it's perfection. Oh yeah, it's got to be this, it's got to be that. No, it doesn't. Hi, gorgeous. Hello. Let's see what else. Robert says, what flips the switch from I have to do these things to I get to do these things for people? It's just a matter of flipping that switch. I remember for me, I was complaining, get this, I have a pool here and I have a pool at my rental house. And I think it might've been at my rental house. I can't remember, but I said, gosh, I have to go clean the pool. And you know what? I stopped myself and I sounded like a little bitch. I'm like, Chris, you have a fucking pool. You are homeless. You lived in the backseat of a station wagon with 18 cats and 4 dogs. You lived in motels with strippers and drug addicts and cops and all. You lived in a van. You lived in a garage. You have a pool. How about not being a little pissy bitch about it? And excuse me, I don't mean that in a derogatory sense, but sometimes I have to sit there and get real with myself. And guess what? I have never said again, I have to go clean my pool. I'm like, you know what? I get to go out there and fucking skim the pool. It's a beautiful day. I'm going to enjoy this. Jesus. And I just look around with gratitude. So yeah, it's just about flipping the switch and saying, oh, I have to clean my house. Like, you have a fucking house. You have carpet. You have stuff to dust, right? I just cleaned my studio today and I was like, man, I'm so cool. I'm so blessed. I have a guitar and I have a keyboard and blah, blah, blah. So when you live in an attitude of gratitude, it's pretty crazy what what can show up for you. Where are we at? Oh, fuck, 49 minutes, 40 minutes. All right. So let me get back into this because we got a lot of ground to cover. If you guys are digging this, please put in the comments that you're digging this and share it with somebody. Emotional imprints. I have a lot of stuff to cover. Emotional imprints, public embarrassment. You were told that you weren't enough. Comparisons, so much. Rejection or abandonment. Unsupported failure, right? Oh, you're a failure, you're a dumbass, but nobody fucking helps you fix that situation. So ask yourself, what moment still stings and what did you do to make it mean about you? So that's a big thing, guys, is accepting the responsibility to say, okay, what am I making that to mean about me? Why am I so jealous of the people across the street? Why do I play small? What situation happened in my life and what am I making that to mean about me? I do that to myself. I'm like, why am I taking this so personally right now? I've got a situation I got to deal with tomorrow publicly. You guys, I don't know if I'm going to stream it or not, but for any of you guys who have watched the men's circle that I generally am a part of on Wednesdays, last week I called somebody out for a post that they did. And unbeknownst to me, the person is having that person come on the show because I called them out. So it's going to be this awkward situation. And I was very frustrated and pissed off and I'm like, what am I making that out to me? I'm just going to go on there and I'm going to say my piece. And if it embarrasses people, so fucking what? So I had all this negativity circling and I'm not going to show up. And I'm like, nah, you're a strong ass motherfucker and you deserve to say those things. You deserve to have that integrity with yourself. Cause I unfriended him. That other person, not the person that hosts the thing. So anyways, we won't get into that. All right. So types of self-sabotage, like Nala said, procrastination, which I had put here disguised as productivity. I'll start when I have new pencils. I'll start when I have a new computer. I'll start when I have just fucking start. Just whatever it is, just start. If you're going to do a garden, go out there and dig some dirt up and put a fucking seed in the ground and put some water on it and see what happens. That's what I love about kids. They have the simple. Come on, Dad, let's go out there. My son has wanted to plant avocado seed. He wanted to plant a pear seed. I was like, Dad, let's just go out there and see what happens. I'm like, nothing's going to happen. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, Chris, be playful, be curious, right? Have a sense of wonderment about stuff. Another form of procrastination is planning and researching. Oh, I'm going to plan. I got to research. I got to figure this out. I'm going to get all my notes together. No, like somebody just asked me the other day, I want to write a book. And I said, just start fucking writing. I don't know where to start. Start with a story that's really memorable that you learned something about. And then decide if you want to go before the story. And then if you want to tell more stories, maybe it's a collection of stories. I don't know. Just start typing stuff. I promise you, it will come to you. Don't have the brakes on up in your brain. Don't have the brakes on. Just sit there and let it flow, whatever it might be. Like, oh, I've been thinking about painting the house. Okay, go to fucking Home Depot and buy some paint and clear off a spot and start painting. Like, so oftentimes, right? We're waiting for the motivation. People are surprised when I say this, but motivation and inspiration, all that shit is bullshit. Like, just have your why. What is my why? My why is to not have any regrets. My why is to have excitement in my life. My why is to go to sleep at night feeling like I did some shit, right? Keep it simple. Keep it simple, boys and girls. Keep it simple. Another procrastination technique is avoiding meaningful tasks. I get my coaching clients don't like this, but I've been procrastinating on this. Why? I just don't want to make that phone call. Why? Because it's going to be uncomfortable. Why? Because they're going to probably yell at me. Well, how are you going to make that feel about your like da 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 da? Guess what? Before we talk next week, you gotta make that fucking phone call. As a matter of fact, I want you to make that phone call tomorrow. Right? Will you do that for me? Yeah. Guess what? Most people do the thing that they've been procrastinating on, and they've spent more time building up the. I just checked in with somebody the other day. They were have to have a really tough conversation with their sibling, and they didn't want to do it. 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 And I said, do you think maybe it might go okay? It might even go better than you thought. You might say, I should have done that a long time ago. Sure enough, that's what happened. Sure enough, right? So we're avoiding the thing. And guess what? So oftentimes there's a great book out there by Brian Tracy called Eat the Big Frog First or Eat the Frog First, whatever the fuck it is. And so oftentimes we create our list and we'll do all the easy shit first and we'll feel good about that. I'm like, there's that one. There's that one. So as we're doing those other things, we got there's that one. There's that. I got to do that one. Shit. I don't want to do that one. What's the quality of your life while you're sitting there procrastinating, thinking about that thing you have to do that you're dreading? Just do it. Just do it. Just get it done with. Just get it done with, so that how am I going to feel about this 24 hours from now? Like, once I get this thing done, how am I going to feel about this tomorrow? I'm going to feel good. I'm going to feel great. It is going to be what it is. The procrastination, the comparison, the what if, and the shoulda, coulda, what. It is what it is. 5 words. 5 words. It is what it is. Once it's done, then you deal with it. You pull up your big girl britches and you say, you know what? I'm going to deal with it. They tell me to fuck off. Okay, I'll fuck off. Thank you so much for letting me know exactly who you are. Now I can move on with my life. I don't have to worry about that anymore. So sometimes when bad situations happen, that's an opening for an awesome step of progress forward. Like, why does it have to mean something terrible? Oh, I'm going to have a conversation with my spouse, and they if you get a divorce, then shouldn't you want to get a divorce now rather than 5 years from now? So that in 5 years, you can have somebody really awesome in your life and look back and go, I'm glad that happened, because now I have you. I'm raising my hand. I went through a divorce at 23. I'm still friends, just texted with my ex-wife the other day, but I've been with my wife now for 24 years. I've been almost married 19 in October. Like, through some shit. And I went through a lot of shit. It was very sad and lonely for those 2-3 years until I started getting out there and getting friends again. I was very isolated. I was very depressed. I was very lonely. It sucked. I'm not going to paint a pretty picture for you. You got to go through some shit, ladies and gentlemen. You got to go through some shit. You got to get some scars. The scars tell the story of where you've been and where you're going. Get out there. Another one is perfectionism, waiting for perfect conditions, overthinking and over editing. Oh my God. Just, I'm with that with my book right now. It's like, I told my editor, I said, when I give it to you, don't ever give it back to me. Like, whatever you do with it, I don't care. Like, this is my last hurrah with it. You guys do whatever you want. You can sit there and say, Chris paints daffodils in the fucking corner and wearing diapers. I don't care. It is what it is. Fear of judgment. What are people going to say? Maybe they might tell you the truth. Maybe then you can take action from that. I don't know. The other one with perfectionism is not finishing or launching. Like, oh, I have so many things that I start that I don't finish. Okay. Can you pick one and finish it and be proud of yourself? Like, ask yourself, why do I have all these things that aren't finished? What's the real reason why you're doing it? Oh, because I have to, because somebody else wants me to do it, because I think I should. Like, most of the shit we get done, it's because we get done because we are excited about it. And maybe not everything's going to be great and awesome. So just do it. Just get it done. Right? I got to skip some of this stuff. Let's get into, holy shit. Let's get into what you can do in the moment. Like, when you're self-sabotaging, what can you do? So here are some questions. You guys know that questions are one of the most powerful pieces of leverage in your life. So here's a question. What am I afraid will happen if I succeed? What am I afraid will happen if I succeed? People will ask me for shit. Okay, cool. I'll be in a position where maybe I'll set a limit. Maybe I can help people out with $100 here and $100 there. Maybe I'll set a limit that I can give out $500 a year, whatever it might be. Or maybe my caveat will be, I will help you with whatever gift or whatever thing that I have because I've succeeded, but you pay it forward to 3 people that you don't know. And we build this pay it forward kind of system where I help you and then you help 3 people and those 3 people help 3 people. And wow, we start a chain. We create a group. I don't know what it might be. Here's another question. What part of me is trying to protect me? Oh, he said it. What part of me is trying to protect me? Yeah, there's a lot of that going on. Number 3, is this truth or conditioning? Went through this recently with somebody and I said, is what you're saying a fact or is that conspiracy? Is that a fact? Do you know this for 100%? Or this is what you've just built up in your mind based on the story you tell yourself? I'm so glad I wrote my memoir because so many of the stories, I wish my mom was still here. So because sometimes I write it and I'm like, is that the way it was really? But I only have my own recollection. And so oftentimes the truth we tell ourselves, I tell people there's 3 sides to the truth. There's your side, my side, and the real truth. Because again, it's shaped from the lens and the experiences we've had and where we were at that point. My mom, when I told my mom I was going to write my book when she was alive, she goes, you're going to paint me out to be a bitch. And I said, you know what? Probably. I said, because you kind of were. I said, here's what we'll do. And I did challenge her. I said, let's pick 10 situations that we both experienced. And you write your version, I write my version. And then I tell you what, we get together and you guys could do this with somebody who's alive. I think it's a great idea. I wish I could have done it with her. I wish she didn't want to do it after I put her to it. But I said, then we'll talk about in the book, how can we could see each other's side of that. And perhaps the reader can get something from that, being able to see other people's points of view. And perhaps there can be some healing from that, from both people. Right. Next question is, what would my highest self do right now? What would my highest self do right now? So oftentimes we think we're going to become the person that we're going to become when we've achieved something. And I have coached famous people, actors, actresses. I have coached rich people, millionaires. I don't think I've ever coached a billionaire. Millionaires. I've coached lots of people. And they thought that when they became the person, when they got the things, when they got the adulation, they got the money, they got the possessions, that was going to allow them to be the person that they needed to be. I'm like, what would it be like if you became that person right now? Who would I be right now if I already had that job? How would I act? And that's one thing I had to go through when I was young, is I wanted to become a supervisor and I wasn't. And I said, okay, what type of person would I be right now if I was a supervisor? Because I was like, oh, when I become a supervisor, then I'll do this and then I'll do that. And so I gave myself a challenge. And for a year, without having the title, I acted as if I was a supervisor without being condescending. But I said, how would I carry myself? How would I dress? What would I say? What would I change? Would I gossip? Would I do this? Would I do that? How would I interact with management? How would I write my memos? What things would I look for outside my job description that a supervisor or manager, somebody who really was looking at it, from that higher position, how would they look at it? And guess what? A year later, I got the promotion. So who do I need to be? Who do I need to be right now? Who is that person that's comfortable having those tough conversations with your spouse? Who do I need to be right now? Okay. So how do we break the pattern? We catch it. We sit there and say, I'm doing it again. We call it. This is self-sabotage. This is not truth. We challenge it. What is actually real? Like I was just telling somebody the other day, I didn't make this up, but I've had so many fears in my life and then so many worries in my life. And guess what? 95% of them never came true. How about that? So what is real? And again, that's the important part of having somebody like me or an accountability partner or a friend that's going to tell you the fucking truth. If you're a friend to somebody, if you call yourself a best friend to somebody and you don't tell them the truth, like, do I look fat in these pants? Yeah, you do. You are. You're overweight. You need to do something about it. I'm not going to sit there and say, oh, you're just big. But no, you need to be honest with people and you need to be fucking honest with yourself. So many people are not honest with themselves, or they play it down. Oh, I'm okay. I'm like, when did it become acceptable just to be okay? Everybody, the people are great and they're awesome. They're fantastic. Don't you deserve that? Again, it goes back to that playing small thing. So when you think about that, choose differently, like catch yourself. Like I'm a big fan of rubber bands. Like catch yourself. Well, Aaron, fucking do it. Snap that rubber band and sit there and say, okay, what am I going to do differently right now? What am I putting off? What can I do differently? What am I going to do differently tomorrow? Okay. So again, this is huge stuff. Here's another way you can look at it. I am the type of person, I want you guys to write this down and do this for over the next 7 days. One of the 3 that I said you need to do. I am the type of person who finishes what I start. I am the type of person who takes action even if it's uncomfortable. I'm the type of person who puts themselves first and doesn't feel guilty about it. I'm the type of person who takes imperfect action every single fucking day because perfection is bullshit. I'm the type of person who doesn't get worried and concerned about what everybody else is fucking doing or not doing because it's my life. Bon Jovi said it, so it's true. It's my life. It's now or never. I ain't gonna live forever. So look at it. Who's keeping you small? What's keeping you small? Who challenges you to grow? Yeah. So we've been going for 54 minutes, if you can believe that already. So, there you have it, boys and girls. Let's see what you guys have said in the peanut gallery. Robert says that was a lively conversation. The conversation with myself. Caroline says, I do the task I least want to do first, and it eliminates the dread. I'm proud of you, Caroline. That's what's up. That's what's up. I will raise my hand again. I'm not sitting here espousing. I have a thing that I've had on my to-do list for probably about a week. And as I've been saying this week, I'm like, Chris, Jesus. I mean, I've done a lot of things that I didn't want to do, but there have been a couple of things that I haven't wanted to do. And I have my own script in my brain that tells me why I don't need to do it, or I can do it later. So we're all in this together. We're all in this together. But the point is that the awareness factor is here now for all of us. So what do we choose to do? Do we choose to continue to do what we've always done and continue to get what we always got? Or do we start living as if? Do we start assigning ourselves the credit that we deserve? Do we start taking those risks? So ultimately, again, you are going to die. I am going to die. And most of the shit we think about and we worry about isn't important. Every single day we get to live. We get to live. We get to live with excitement, or we get to live with fear. Or we exist. We exist another day. I'm just trying to get through. I'm just trying to get through. I'm just trying to get through. I'm just trying to make it. When does that end? When does that end? Somebody was telling me a situation they were in, and I said, yeah, it really sucks. Like, to have that conversation with your husband and to do all those things. I said, but guess what? At the end of the day, you can rent a room from someone. You could rent a room. Like, I know you have this house and you have all this equity and you have all this and you have all that. But can you afford $300 a month? Is that worth your sanity to rebuild at 50? I can't remember how exactly old she was. You can do it. I'm not telling you it's going to be easy. I'm going to tell you it's going to suck. But on the other side of it, the time is going to go by anyway if you're fortunate enough. So put your fast forward lens on. How different can my life be in 2 years if I started taking better care of myself? If I got Chris as a coach, if I eliminated some of the shit that I'm tolerating in my life, if I took action on some of the stuff I've been procrastinating about, how different can my outcomes be? Usually it takes 3 to 6 months. I mean, once you start getting the ball rolling, I have seen people come alive. And guess what they all say? I wish I would have done it sooner. Regrets suck, guys. The 5 regrets of the dying. We talked about it last week, Sarah Ann and I. The top regrets of the dying. Bonnie Ware. It's a great book. The number one regret of the people that died is that they didn't live the life they wanted to live. They lived the life they were told to live. And we only get this one life as far as I know. So I have dealt you a platter of all sorts of things to consider. Put in the comments, what's the one thing that's really nailed it for you? Because I'm curious. I'm curious to know. Plenty of you guys have been watching. You guys are watching live. A lot of people watch on the replay in the morning when they're on the East Coast in other countries. So what has it been for you? What is it going to be for you? Make a public declaration in the comments. Even after I turn the broadcast off, make a public declaration to yourself. Like, this is what I'm going to do. Because you deserve it. Whatever's happened in the past is electrical energy in your brain. There's nothing tangible about it. It's the story you have made up to protect yourself, to limit yourself, whatever it might be. But you are the author of your story. You get to put new shit in there. Reprogramming. Now going to be kick-ass, unstoppable, no excuses. I'm going to follow Christopher's model. And guess what? You'll be proud of yourself. Okay. I'll be back next week. I think next week is also a solo show. So I'm going to put it out there to you guys listening and also watching. If there's somebody that you have watched on a podcast or somebody you know that's got an incredible conversation ability that would meld well here. I do get people like, oh, I get a lot of entrepreneurs wanting to be on the show, but it's not a show about entrepreneurship. I take entrepreneur. We had Mark Mawini on recently, and he's like, oh, I could talk about businesses and this. I'm like, no. We're going to talk about the psychology of what you need to do to start a business, but we're not going to talk about, budgets and spreadsheets and shit like that. All right. So it's Cinco de Mayo. I had a bunch of tacos. I had 3 burrito tacos that my wife made that were excellent, and I'm stuffed and now I'm tired. So I love you guys. Thank you so much for being here. Please share this out with somebody. Call somebody and say, hey, man, you need to listen to this. Let's watch this together. Let's become accountability partners. Let's join Christopher's coaching program. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I love you guys. See you next week. Raw and Unscripted out.